And good evening to all of our friends in speed gaming land for another edition of the Final Fantasy Randomizer. This is Ikbin Maya that you're listening to, but you can just call me Maya. I am joined tonight by Trenton. Trenton, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. This was originally going to be Minochi. Unfortunately, he had IRL stuff come up. I'm happy to fill in because this is an exciting match between Kaiten and Willcleosis.
Yeah, it really is. This is part of our sort of burgeoning call-out series where one runner calls out another. They work together on a flag set that will cause both of them no small amount of pain or suffering, and we all get to watch and enjoy the entertainment. We have 3 Force Party members this evening. You can see those at the top of your screen here. The RNG has started to be pretty nice to our runners. We've got a Forced Fighter, Forced Red Mage, Forced White Mage. In Trenton, lo and behold, both of them decided to go for the full Mage Rainbow. We have Black Mages on either side. Before we get going, Trenton, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the flags that we're going to see this evening in this set?
Oh, what aren't we going to see tonight, Maya? Because we've got Entrance Shuffle, we've got Floor Shuffle. We could see Temple of Fiends Revisited be 20 floors deep into some place. We've got a free canal, which means the randomizer has that much more ability to place the floater in some off-the-wall place. We could see them sailing around with the ship for quite a while. We have got basically I think literally every location that is possible to incentivize is incentivized tonight. So 24 locations are quote-unquote incentivized. Any one of them could have a required item.
This is a pretty interesting flag set. For those of you that might know the Dragon Warrior randomizer, they have a mode that's called Chaos Mode. And I think that this is a pretty close analog to that sort of a mode. The enemies that you're going to find on the overworld have been randomized. Their skills and spells have been randomized. Everything in the game has sort of been shuffled. It's like we put Final Fantasy in a blender, hit puree, and we're hoping it's going to turn out smooth and tasty, and not something that you would want to avoid. So about our 2 runners, real quick, and then we'll get going on this seed. They're 13 hours apart, Trenton. This is a truly global affair from the green verdant hills of the Philippines all the way to polar vortex land in the upper Midwest. And this is a pretty exciting race and a pretty exciting showcase of what this randomizer can do.
Just 2 of the nicest people you're going to meet in video gaming. Willcleosis is one of our well-known voices. He jumps in a lot on commentary. Kaiten gets in here once in a while. I've known him since the first Final Fantasy I randomizer tournament. Reached out to him because I was doing his first round match, so got to know him a little bit from doing that. We've got the countdown on. We're going to see our runners get to work here. And real quickly, the other thing we didn't touch on yet, when we say randomized, we mean randomized because shop items are going to be randomized, not just shuffled.
I have like 3 pieces of paper, 2 spreadsheets open, and I'm praying for these runners that this is going to go smoothly for them. We're going to see right off the bat, once these runners enter into Caneria Town, that they're going to be in for a rude shock, because there is no guarantee that your local environment is going to be what you think it is. So we should be going very shortly. Yep, and here we are. And lo and behold, look, it's the mermaids right off the bat.
So this is great for a couple of reasons. Not only all the treasure chests, also it's an incentivized location. So they're very likely going to get a key item out of here. That ice sword is huge for a fighter right up front.
Yep, that's one of the best swords you're going to find right off the bat for a fighter to throw around.
Loot's the first item. Not random enough. What? This is just giving for the fighters. We've seen an ice sword and the ice armor. That's going to let them get through a lot of early stuff. As long as we're only fighting early stuff, at least.
Well, that's just the thing. We have no idea what we're going to find out in the overworld once these runners get themselves equipped up and ready to run. But yeah, this is like a fighter starter set here. You got your ice sword, you got your ice armor, so that has to feel really good for these runners right off the bat.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible to have any more access to early treasure chests, so that is probably as nice as the randomizer can give to you. Not only what we've seen, but the gold available as well should help them out early on. Yeah,
So
11,000 gold coming out of that. They haven't been in a fight yet.
yeah, that's great. Canaria Town is Canaria Town because we're not that mean to our runners. And so here they are. We're going to go into the white and black magic. We've got Cure 4, Wall, Fog 2, and Invis 2 all sitting at level 1. That is a bonanza.
Yeah, this could cause a little bit of question mark for what you get on the red mage. Now look at this. Look at how much level 1 actually hurts the red mage because there's too many spells.
Yep, this is a situation where too much of a good thing is actually going to hurt, because what on earth does your red mage do? I've got to think Cure 4 is wonderful. Probably Lit 3 is wonderful. Fast is sitting there. Wow. Okay. So both of these runners are going for mages.
The way I look at it, fast is non-optional. I've got to have 2 casters of it. I've got to have the Cure 4. And then really it's just a question of, can I sacrifice the Lit 3?
So
armor shirt for sale is huge.
Armor is pretty fabulous. The weapons were pretty mundane. There was a power staff if you want to take that. Critically, we've got saving items right off the bat at this in this seed too. So cabins at 142. They're going to be able to save their game and save scum their way across the overworld if these enemies are unpleasant.
That's where that big pile of money helps. There's no guarantees about what will be for sale in that first item shop except softs and pures in order to prevent statuses from soft locking your game, basically. Other than that, it's randomized what can be there. But those 2 potions will always be for sale.
Well, so far the runners are being very nice. Wow, Provoca, you've got to be kidding me. The runners are being very nice to us by staying together. And lo and behold, now it's time for level 2.
This could honestly be a reset-worthy decision to me if we've got AoE magic here, and we don't. If we had a good AoE spell at level 2, I would go back, ditch Lit 3 on the red mage, and get Invis 2 instead.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately,
happy to see Brack. Happy to see Brack. Happy to see Quad X. Those are both great spells. We've got a Cure Hammer, Vorpals for sale for everyone. In the armor shop today. That's hilarious.
I was wondering if Will was going to show us how much he wanted it by trying to buy it, and he did. It'll take a little bit more money, and also he can't use it till class change. But he wants it. And we all know you want it, Will.
So one of these nice hints that you see when you're doing entrance and floor shuffle is that the background that our runners are seeing in these fights indicate where they started. And so you see Temple of Fiends up at the top there.
Pirates are giving over the ship. We've got loot and ship. What is this, Maya?
It's randomized, but it's not. This is so strange.
Czar, thank you for donating the bits to Speed Gaming. We've got a Rub Gauntlet, which is a little bit more affordable than the Quad X shirt. Not as valuable, but hey, you get what you pay for. It's a budget insta-death spell. It's our first time seeing overworld encounters. Worth mentioning right now that they did turn the encounter rate down to 50% for the overworld and the dungeons, so they'll be able to do a little bit more walking around, a little less of the mindless battle. Will also checking out the item shop. That's always a good play. There's a vendor item out there somewhere, so good to find it. Kaiten finds a water floor.
Water ponies, apparently.
And it's Marsh Cave.
Yep, so Dwarf Cave leads to the bottom, the top of Marsh Cave. This is a dead end, so there will be a few chests here, but then we can cross this one off our list.
Okay, this is non-trivial at this point. We'll see how Lit 3 does. This Whiz Vamp's a little high for where we are. And took out Dicey? Is that what we're going to call it? Dicey? The Red Mage?
We've got our route divergence. Here goes Willcleosis is going to check out what's going on in Matoya's entrance. And it's the Lupa Lupa people.
Well, hey, good to know where they are, even though we don't want to deal with it right now.
So Lefane and its level 8 magic spells are sitting at where Matoya's cave would be. Makes me wonder if we might have a translated slab at some point. Ooh, Kaiten finds an early eye. That's very nice.
That's big, and I'd take a swing with that ice sword and find out how much HP it has. That could be really valuable, especially the levels early on.
Kaiten finds an Aegis shield there sitting at the bottom of Marsh Cave. And so that will finish this part of the dungeon off.
Enemy stats go all the way down to 40%, so you don't want to take for granted that something's going to be awful until you actually see what it does. Of course, you also don't want to take for granted that it's going to be a pushover until you see what it does.
Well, nobody wants to find the air elementals in the overworld, and so Kaiten resets right immediately out of that. Willcleosis, here we are with Crescent Lake and its level 6 magic spells. And the confused old men wandering around in circles.
So
or oblong shapes.
Little things can make. Kaiten went out and saved, which, respect that play, but he came back in because he saw the eyes. Willcleosis did not see the eyes. So Kaiten, he's got that Brax spell. He's probably going to get something like level 10 to 12 here, possibly, depending on what the rest of this encounter table looks like, and have that much of an advantage going through some of the other locations over Willcleosis from being a higher level.
So Willcleosis finds the canoe sitting here in Crescent Lake, which is Provoca. So he gets that important progression item that's going to open up the back half of this lower continent in several other places that he can check at this point. But he's going to run back in the other direction, head westward now over to Dwarf Cave. Kaiten619, this has to be Northwest Castle would be my guess. And it looks like we're in Sky. And thanks to our chat who noted, actually it was Lord Fizzlebeef, our tracker, who noted that Life and Warp are sitting at level 6. Those are two extremely important spells. You'd probably want to ideally find them at a lower level. Willcleosis finding the Titan in Elfland Castle. And a portion of the Ice Cave sitting in Elfland Town.
And Sarda, so we're finding these incentive locations pretty quickly so far. The rod means you'll be able to get past the plate behind the vampire, with no telling what that'll lead to.
And thanks again for Lord Fizzlebeef, who decided to do his first round of tracking ever on speed gaming with an entrance floor shuffle. And so big props to you for helping out this evening. We really appreciate it. So all of those things will be lighting up on the bottom of your screen, thankfully, thanks to Lord Fizzlebeef. As we watch Kaiten rumble towards, I believe, this is going to be Lich.
He's got a chance here because he has those extra levels. Well, it's actually going to be Carrie.
Oops, that's right. That flag was turned on as well. It looks like Lich, but surprise!
Yeah, he hadn't healed his magic, so he doesn't have the Brack charges. Brack's not actually the best spell against Carry. It's particularly noted for its usefulness against Kraken 1 and Tiamat 1.
And so this fight is not going terribly well for Kaiten619. This is probably not one of the fiends he wanted to see this early. He's a little low on resources to try to take Carry out. That Vorpal at the beginning, or that Ice Sword at the beginning, did only 3 hits for 3 damage. Lit 3 is not doing a ton at this point either. That was 4 hits for 16 damage, and Carry slaps back, and down goes the fighter. Kaiten's going to go ahead and reset.
Yeah, no harm in doing that. He wasn't set up for a fiend fight.
No, that was a rude surprise at the bottom
and
there.
Again, there's no harm in taking that shot. Wow, 3 Agabas on the overworld. That's a really good experience encounter. Kaiten's reluctance is really driven by just not having the resources to kill them. He doesn't have Ice 2, Ice 3.
This is the FFR equivalent of Christmas with 3 Agamas on the overworld where you can reach them.
He does have that Ice Sword, and with weapons fixes on bonus damage, Willcleosis now sees the 4, but likewise, he doesn't have an AoE magic that's going to do well against them.
Agamas with Cremate. It's pretty thematic.
Less friendly. Just like that. In fact, both runners ended up resetting out of the encounter.
So both of our runners are trying to figure out what to do with this bonanza of experience waiting for them. The answer is apparently to run back to Caneria and get more resources.
Now, interesting in that Kaiten knows that eye is easy to get to. Willcleosis does not know that, so if Will needs levels, really the only good option he's seen right now, and good in quotation marks, is those Agavans. Kaiten has found a little bit better source. It can be taken down with Brack, and it's a safer encounter. It just takes longer to get to.
The flip side to that is that Willcleosis has picked up that canoe early. Kaiten did not go over to the Provoca entrance to find out what was sitting there. It looks like he might be heading in that direction now. Willcleosis is able to traverse the overworld a little more efficiently than Kaiten was for about 5 minutes or so. That's a type of small progressive advantage that might be paying dividends for Willcleosis down the stretch here. Those little things do add up over time.
Now, the other thing we hadn't talked about is they've got the canal. It's a pre-canal seat, so they can take this ship. They can go to the Onrak entrance right now. They could go to Mirage Tower, but they couldn't get in it because they don't have the chime.
Here's Willcleosis now, also at the bottom of Earth Caves, gonna go run and probably thinking / hoping he's gonna see Lich, but we all know who's hiding there instead. Let's watch Will and see what he decides to do.
Well, even if you're aware that this Fiend Shuffle is on and they picked the flags, so I assume they knew that before I
hope
did.
So.
But you're talking about a 50% chance of it being a Brack usable Fiend 1. So that's a compelling enough reason to me to check out the Fiend here.
So Willcleosis putting Maya at the top of his party. I'm not going to take offense at that. I don't think Maya is long for the world here, though. Fasting his fighter down at the bottom of the party. That's a very smart decision at the beginning. We're going to stack a first attempt at Invis 2. Carry strikes 3 hits, 114 damage. The fighter swings back for only 2 hits and 21 damage, but that fast does go off. We're going to try Lit 3 next. 4 hits, 168 damage. So it is getting through a little bit. Maya the Red Mage does collapse to Carry. There comes the second swing of Invis 2.
Now, if this is new to you, it's worth noting that the individual stats of the Fiend are randomized. So lo and behold, the Hit points of that carry were not too awful. Willcleosis got through. Our first of 4 orbs.
So Willcleosis takes a 1-orb-to-0 lead after taking down Carrie, the Fiend of Fire, sitting in the Earth Cave today in the Northwest Castle. So if you're following along, you're going to need arrows pointing in all sorts of different directions to make heads or tails of this. But this is a little bit of what Entrance and Floor Shuffle looks and feels like. It's really nice that the devs gave us a few visual clues as to what's going on. When the party enters an entrance, the entrance is color coded depending on the entrance that you arrived in. So, for example, here's Elfland in sort of a brownish green color, so that you know that Kaiten's sitting in Elfland Castle. Those little things, after you get used to this randomizer, really do help you sort of orient yourself as to where you're going.
Yeah, there also have been floor shuffle trackers made to help people keep things straight. There's a paper version now. Willcleosis has found out about these eyes down here. He already got some levels on this encounter that Kaiten is seeing now from the Chimera Jamera formation, which was worth comparable experience. So both these runners getting through this encounter will see a nice payoff for it. Well, Kaiten had a little harder time with that one than Will did earlier. Oh, there's the Pedes. We're just seeing all the experienced enemies popping out already.
Okay, that Earth gets a hold of the Red Mage on Will's side, and he's going to nope right out of that encounter. He only has a couple more chests to check here, and then he can cross this off of his to-do list.
That Aegis Shield is always a welcome sight when you have a fighter. You can't use it till you class change, get a knight, but it's nice to know you have the best shield in the game. Hey, more Agabus.
I'm noting a trend here. When Kaiten peeked into Crescent Lake, I also noticed that Exit is sitting at level 6. So that is Exit and Warp, both sitting at level 6. Tantalizingly out of reach for our runners until they get some more levels on those white and black mages. That's going to take you up to level 16 before you're going to get a cast of either of those.
What's interesting is we're starting to see more of the levels of magic and not seeing the AoE. We've now seen 2 levels that do not have any AoE spell on them. Granted, level 6, not the biggest deal, but to not have any on level 2, only the one lit 3 at level 1. There's levels 3 and 4 sitting out there, and if we don't have one of the big spells, then this starts to look like a magic-starved seed.
Yeah, you've got Lit 3 that'll carry you through some of this. If you really want to play interestingly, you can go buy some Quad X shirts or armors if you want to have that to cast. Unlimited casts of that is available to these runners. Neither of them, Triton, have taken the bait to go ahead and leave this inner sea yet, even with this free canal.
In fact, I'm not sure either of them have gone up to see Matoyas yet.
Yeah, Will popped into Matoya. Lefane is sitting there with the Lupa Lupa people in the level 8 magic spells.
Yeah, see, this is why you're keeping the notes. Didn't mention this earlier, but we did find that Were sword pretty early, which is a nice thing to find for the Red Mage. Not the best sword he has access to in the early game, but the best one we've found so far.
So Kaiten is going to give a try now for carry again. Kaiten is back for more. We're going to try double Brack strats against carry. We'll see how this goes. The White Mage gets the Invis 2 charge off. The first Brack is ineffective. Here comes the second. Also ineffective.
Wow.
Of note, Willcleosis with a triple I formation on his side. And here comes that Quad X shirt.
Yeah, that is a huge find, and that's on the water, so there's not that many encounters there either. That's just a byproduct of we haven't been sailing around, so he hadn't seen it yet.
Not to be outdone, Kaiten619 runs into a wait phantom in the overworld that can't wait to say hello to Kaiten, so he reset out of that. And Marsh Cave is everyone's favorite Melmond today. So that's level 5 magic. Let's see what we find here.
Apologies to all our viewers. We didn't know this was coming, or we would have given a proper warning first. Cure 3, Harm 4. There's Nuke at level 5.
And
which
Temper.
is kind of a good news, bad news situation. It's great that
So the good news, yeah.
It's low enough
Go
that
ahead.
you'll get some charges, but it's not going to be plentiful.
Yeah, same thing for Temper. Having Nuke and Temper together at level 5 is not going to feel great. You're going to have a few charges of that going down into Temple of Fiends Revisited, mostly from the Black Mage. I bet both of them are happy that they took a Black Mage at this point. But you're not going to have a whole lot of those going down into the end game here.
Yeah, and of course, worth noting, this is going to be a full Temple of Fiends Revisited. They've got to walk all those floors. So, how many Tempers are you willing to sacrifice to use Nuke along the way? On the good news side, only the 50% encounter rate, but Temple of Fiends Revisited is a long dungeon. I was going to mention that I didn't mind Kaiten doing the Brack strats there, just because even if it's a low % chance, okay, that's a quick fight to get to, and you can probably throw off anywhere from 3 to 8 per battle, depending on how many spell charges you had before carry's going to get you. So that's going to add up. It's not great, but it's not a necessarily bad strat. It is one that has the chance to work.
Willcleosis diving what I believe is the Melmond entrance here, and has found a good portion of the ice cave. He has skipped several chests on the left-hand side here and is continuing straight through. Most of this ice cave is still linked together, even in entrance and floor, just to make sure that the game doesn't soft lock. You need to keep these various floors together. But we are going to see what the eye tile is here.
I think Will has prioritized finding out what's in this incentive chest. This is not a good encounter. Because I do believe they had status poison.
Finds
Will
the
finds
herb.
the herb.
Mm-hmm.
And this Garbadusa is a really nice location for it if you depending on their HP.
Desert lobsters. Apparently, we're in a retelling of Dune.
So now Kaiten has gotten to this same Melmond area. We haven't seen a huge divergence between them yet. But I think Will is prioritizing that key item right now rather than exploring what else is here. If the Green Ogres were not enough of an example, we have random trap tiles on, so that Frost Wolf trap tile could be something entirely different. Slash probably will be, because there's more non-Frost Wolf formations than there are Frost Wolf formations. And we just found our second Fiend.
Very interesting. This is the Earth Cave entrance, I believe, for Kaiten. Kaiten is going to check this. Oh wow, 5 slimes. You're happy to see that if you have fire or nuke, or fade, which they don't. So we're going to run away from this instead. This is a incentive chest here, though, on the left-hand side of this floor for Kaiten.
They're not hitting that bad, so I don't mind poking them with lit 3s, see how much HP they have. But Kaiten nopes out, and he was pretty far away with that save. I think he was set up to go to Titans if he didn't like the entrance here.
Kaiten's going to let that chest go for now. And let's see who's hiding behind door number 2 today.
So you got a 2/3 chance of Brack being the right spell to have here, so it's a very solid play to check out the Fiend. Here's Tiamat.
So Kaiten thinks about his strategy here. We're going to use Invis 2 and then double Brack strats. This is a reasonably good chance that he's going to be able to get through this with those Bracks. The first two are ineffective. Invis 2 does go off, but after the fighter is hit, the fighter is pretty ineffective for only 2 hits and 2 damage. So we do another stack of Invis 2. 2 more Bracks coming out. Let's try the Red Mage first. Nope. How about the Black Mage? Black Mage says nope. So there's 1 cast of Brack left each for each of those 2 mages.
Well, even if you have to reset, the odds are on your side long term. I think it's approximately a 1 in 5 chance. I'm not trying to be exact with that either, because don't do math while I'm on Twitch. But enough broadcasts, it's going to work, and there it came down to the last spell charge, but Kaiten got it.
So 6th time is the charm for Kaiten619, who lights his orb. That's 1-1, and he does know where Carrie is hiding. So he's hot on the location of a second one. He's going to go ahead and save his game, and now he's going to go ahead and hack that chest over on the left-hand side of this floor. Smart play. I do like this. Willcleosis feasting on Water Eyes today. A lot of great experience here.
If the 3-eye encounter is just a phenomenal early find, you may not want to go spend too much time on it early, especially because at 15 key items you get a 50% bonus experience. Kaiten got the cube. We'll save the joke for later, potentially. But
So that is 3 incentive items we have found that we don't know where their corresponding locations are. We have found the cube, but we don't know where that floor is to cash it in and use it. We have found the herb, but we don't know where Elfland Castle is. And we have the rod as well, but we don't know where the rod lock is, that 3rd floor of Earth Cave. So we need to watch out for those to find out when they pop up.
that's one of the things you have to really watch for when you're doing lore shuffle is you can get it in your head, okay, to do Mirage Tower, I've got to have the chime, I've got to have the cube. You can get so locked in on linking those 2 items, but when it's floor shuffle, not necessarily the case that you need both.
Kaiten finding the armory in Titan's right-hand entrance and is starting to clear that out. There's 65,000 gold, and 3 gargoyles are not going to be too alarming here. So we'll run away from those. Let's keep an eye on the rest of these chests.
No incentive here, but this is just one of the largest collections of treasure that is available. And that's close to 80,000 gold. So that's a very nice payday.
Yep. Kaiten also did not check the trap tile down by the armory, so we don't know what that enemy is today. It looks like he might take a peek at the trap tile up here, though. And it's imps. Ha!
Well, hey, we've got a Brack Axe. That could have some value later on. But also, I think significantly is that Fire 2 staff, but it's just too expensive to purchase right now. Thanks, Melman. That Fire 2 staff would have been a very welcome item.
Yeah, we are a little light on AoE spells still. We don't know what's hiding in level 3 and level 4 because we haven't found that town yet. So our runners are having to make do with Quad X armors and Lit 3.
To know you're not going to have Fire 3 there, or even Fire 2, that puts your best Black Magic AoE spell right now as being Ice 3. And White Magic side, Fade could still potentially happen, but is it going to be Red Mage learnable will be a big question.
Willcleosis finishes his shopping in Marsh Cave / Melmond, which are 2 great tastes that go great together. If I can think of a better pairing for floor and entrance shuffle, it would be those 2 wonderful places. Kaiten's going to check this far off sort of switchback chest here, guarded by imps.
This is probably a good time to mention how these trap tiles work. So the trap tile calls a formation, all of these floor 1, or this would be floor 2 of volcanoes, they call that fire formation, the one fire elemental. That formation's been replaced with another, in this case that imp formation. So that's what you're going to see on every one of those fire tiles in the volcano. It's going to be replaced with that formation. So, biggest difference I'm seeing right now is because of those eyes, Willcleosis has been able to get more levels. Obviously, they've traded a orb, respectively. They've each got one, the other does not.
Yeah, not only levels, but also cash. Willcleosis, working on those eyes a little bit, was able to pick up all of the level 5 spells he could at this point. Kaiten619 finding a seafloor, I believe, also down here in Titan's right-hand side. So there are a lot of chests in this little dungeon.
A gold bracelet located. That's a wonderful find. Very solid piece of armor for your mages. And a ribbon. What a room.
Yep, this is a great pickup for Kaiten, who takes a significant lead now in armor. That ribbon is beautiful. Willcleosis is in the vicinity. Let's see which direction he decides to go. He's going to head south to Earth Cave first and find a fiend down there.
That water knockout formation doesn't look great. Now, how is Will going to do with these slimes? This was the cube, as I recall. Kaiten was able to run away and get out of here. Get the item out of here.
Will trying for tickle damage here, lit 3 against the slimes. You hit him enough with this, it'll start to work, but it's going to take a bit, and Willcleosis decides he just doesn't have the time for this, and he's going to run right back here and then run away.
A katana pickup is good lunch money, but a sneaky good pickup for Kaiten in that flame shield, because we already have ice armor, so now you get to stack 2 elemental resistances on the fighter by doing the flame shield with the ice armor.
Looks like Kaiten reset out of that. He's going to go back and pick that ribbon back up. That's the item of note that he found in here so far. We'll have to see if he goes and grabs that opal. Gold bracelet again.
It was in the same room as the ribbon, so you would. There'd be no reason not to. Yeah, that's just one extra step to get it.
Willcleosis gets a critical hit on slimes, 3 hits for 80 damage. That was enough to take that last pesky little slime down. Grabs his cube. So Will did not forget the cube today, everyone. We can go ahead and mark that down. Good job.
So what Kaiten did lose, you talked about the gold bracelet maybe not getting it, what he actually lost was the flame shield. So that advantage I just talked about, he just lost it. And there is the difference in taking on those eyes for a little bit on Willcleosis' side. Those slimes in the way? Not with Nuke, they're not.
Yep, that's exactly right. A difference in resources and preparation allows Willcleosis to go ahead and take a bit more of an advantage as far as levels and resources. I think he's tracking a little bit, a touch behind Kaiten as far as areas he's explored, but he's better prepared when he comes to these fights like this one against Tiamat. Brack axes for everyone.
And this is where Willcleosis is going to take an advantage in the orb count, because he's going to be able to get past Tiamat with no problem here, whereas Kaiten still has to clear out Carrie. The good thing for him with Carrie is he doesn't have to go back there anytime soon. He's just got to go back there by the end of the game. So no reason to beat your head against the wall. Come back later when you're better prepared for it.
So we're 35. Oh, but there's broken into pieces. Yes, Will. When you have 4 Brack axes and about 8 casts of Brack, that's bound to happen. Um, we're 35 minutes in. We have no floaters so far. We have found several progression items, including the canoe, cube, herb, and rod. And we have found a whole bunch of magic in level 1. We have found Provoca at level 2. We have found Melmond at level 5 and Crescent Lake at level 6. Other things of note, Kaiten619 and Willcleosis have both killed Carrie. Actually,
both
Kaiten has not killed
Tiamat.
Carrie yet. They've both killed
have killed
Tiamat. Willcleosis has also killed Carrie. Kaiten has tried a couple of times and has been unable to bring Carrie down. Kaiten is sort of our lead as far as progression goes, but Will has a 2 orb to 1 orb lead. But Kaiten's going to show us what's hiding here in Crescent Lake.
Kaiten's just had a lot of difficulty getting the levels. He just has not seen the eyes on the water, and that's just such a difference. Willcleosis, having seen them, now he doesn't even necessarily have to grind them, but just knowing that they're going to be on the way, you can figure that in, and by the end of the game, that could be worth 10 of those encounters, at least, without taking a specific grind for experience there.
So, inside Crescent Lake of note was the room that is cube locked. And so finding that cube earlier is critical to diving down into the lower Crescent Lake entrance. And so that's exactly what we're seeing Kaiten619 do now. And lo and behold, Matoya is hiding down here, but we don't have a crystal to give her yet.
No, but she has 3 treasure chests that she'll turn a blind eye while we just pick everything up we want.
Very well done. Very well done.
I dedicate that one to TGE. By dedicate, I mean I blame TGE.
Kaiten619 sails on in the canoe, and it looks like we're going to go see what the volcano is hiding for us today.
So this taking the place of the blue dragon, and mentioned earlier that you don't necessarily need both the chime and cube at the same time. This is exactly that case here, so Willcleosis is going to be able to just go through with the cube. Meanwhile, Kaiten is headed towards the volcano entrance. And there, for the first time, he's found out that eyes are on the river. He doesn't know the sea yet, but he just found out they're on the river.
It'll be interesting to see if Kaiten starts to route that in a little bit now. Now that he knows that they're there, will he stick around a little bit? You can sail around the volcano on the river to your heart's content if you want to do so.
And he has houses to make use of this. But I think I want to know what's on the entrance despite that. So yeah, go ahead and save, find out what's at the entrance. It's ordeals. This would probably cause me to go back to the ice first. Get to something like level 15.
It looks like Kaiten is going to go ahead and give this at least a little bit of a shot at the beginning. Willcleosis right behind him. And so we have root convergence. The difference between the two is that Will has some more levels than Kaiten does at this point.
Will gets the old man to just go away. It's always interesting to me when you find out how many things they programmed in to the original game that theoretically didn't matter, but we can appreciate in the randomizer and with 20, 30 years of speed running video games, how much things like this matter. So, for example, Temple of Fiends Revisited, there's doors locked by the Mystic Key. Now, logically, there's no way you could get there without the Mystic Key, but somebody said, we're going to lock this door just in case.
Kaiten619 running into a welcome pack of 6 Gur Medusas sitting here on this floor. Same floor that Willcleosis is on now, so we'll see whether or not they're still in the same step count and encounter table for that. But that's very nice. Quadpeds have a spell list and also wish to run away.
Yeah, the Peds are normally a great encounter to get experience from, but when you've got eyes like that, everything's fine. Everything is also fine for Willcleosis fighting the board. He now doesn't
Yes,
have to worry about
Will be
fight one, but you
immensely
can't equip it
relieved.
yet, Will. You have to fight first. We know, Will. A high five as they pick up the TNT simultaneously.
And this is the difference now. Will exits out and gets out of this with his spell charge. Kaiten619 has to stick around and play with some mummies in order to get out of here. Those are little things that have caused Willcleosis to pull even and now ahead of Kaiten619 in routing. Plus, he's got that 1 orb lead. And so, advantage to Willcleosis at this point.
And interesting that, he's gone on to Ice Cave now and finds a first floor of the Sea Shrine. I think the mummies fired off Quad X, if I saw that right, and took out 4 in one shot. Which is very unfortunate because I don't believe he has any charges of life spell yet.
Also interesting here, this is a split dungeon, and so Willcleosis can go either right or left to go ahead and start to dive this. He picks left first. This is another Sea Shrine floor. One of my least favorite, I think, in the entire game, because there are chests scattered in 1s and 2s all over this enormous floor. So interesting to see if Will decides to completely clear this floor or if he decides to move on.
This is also one of those fascinating little extras from the vanilla game. The reverse sea room here was locked by the Mystic Key. Why? Because somebody thought it'd be a good idea. I mean, you couldn't get here without it, but it required it anyways, just to get in there. But you don't know that unless you actually examine the door. This used to be the incentivized chest of the Sea Shrine, but that's been changed in a later version of the randomizer to now be the one on the Mermaid's floor. And we have another incentive location because this is the Marsh Cave. And that wizard chest is another incentivized location.
And red dragons hanging here at the bottom of this Marsh Cave level. We do not yet have the Mystic Key, so we cannot look at the locked chests that are at the bottom of the key here. But this is an important place to take note of if you are running these flags, because you may have to come back here. I do believe that we have an incentive location that is key locked down here in the lower right-hand side of this floor.
We do. This is actually a double incentivized donation. Oh, green dragon, guest dragons. Let's see how this goes. Poison touch and hitting for 100 damage, so not as bad as they could be. And a ruby is Willcleosis' reward.
So we do know where the Titan is. The Titan is sitting in where Elfland Castle is located. That's a heck of a sail back at this point. I don't know if you're going to cash that in right away or not. Willcleosis is going to go ahead and do the right side of this dungeon now.
So a question in chat. Kaiten didn't save after getting TNT. I actually believe that was fully intentional on his part because, as I mentioned before, no life spell. So he can't recover his party. He's trying to get through this with a living party, or else that can really mess him up further on the run because he doesn't have a town nearby. Crescent Lake was another dungeon, so he doesn't have access to a clinic to revive anybody.
Meanwhile, the right side of the Ice Cave Sea Split is the dwarves, and that TNT came to instant use because Willcleosis was able to trade that TNT in for the bottle. And so now when Gaia is found for Willcleosis, he has that bottle in hand so that he can find out what the trapped fairy has for him.
I think it'd be a little curious if Kaiten doesn't try and get another level or two, because Again, what took out his fighter was Quad X, so all he needs to do is have above 300 hit points. So another couple levels would be tremendous for making that fight safer.
And so far, this is the difference maker in this seed from a couple of minute perspective. Kaiten619 having to run back through this dungeon to go ahead and pick up this incentive. We'll have to see if that lead holds down the stretch now for Willcleosis, who has left Ice Cave, the eastern side of this continent, is sailing back. It makes me wonder if he's going to go ahead and cash this ruby in at the Titan.
There's no incentive at the Titan, I don't think.
Yeah, but you can get out the other side, right? There's an entrance waiting for you at the other end.
I guess that tells you where it is, but, you know, statistically it's going to be the Cardia Islands at this point. I'd start to think about Onrak Castle ordeals at this point, but Onrak in particular.
Yep, and that's a good
Waterfall.
note for anybody that's watching here. We do have extended open progression on, which means that we've added a few docks to the overworld. So you can walk to Onrak. You can, if they find the floater, you can use that dock that's right by the Ryokan Desert if you wish to do so.
Now, one of the things I want to point out is one of the flags they've turned on here is done exactly what they put it there for. This is what Free Canal can do. Because the sanity checker of the randomizer to make sure that seeds are beatable are just going to make sure that you have access to the floater, for example. You're going to be able to get to the location where the floater is. Second Vorpal for Will, he's twice as happy now.
This is torture for Willcleosis. Now he has 2 Vorpals and can't equip either of them.
But upon class change, he'll be able to put one on the Red Mage too, so he'll be happy with that.
Well, right, and unfortunately, even then, the knight could not dual wield Vorpals, which would be Nirvana.
This isn't Final Fantasy II. If you want that, you have to watch RPG Limit Break.
Landabine asks a good question.
Yes.
Landabine asks in chat, what do the Vorpals do? Vorpals in this game are a sword of middling strength, but have a very, very high critical hit rate. And so for seeds where you have enemy defense souped up to large levels, which is a possibility here, the Vorpal can be useful for cutting through those enemy defenses with that critical hit ability. Now, it's the nicest thing I've ever said about Vorpals. Really, some of us call them trash swords.
Willcleosis, though, if this isn't clear for everyone, look at the bottom right of his screen. That is in fact a Vorpal, so that is his opinion of the sword.
Titan not showing much here.
No, I'm not going to go there. You set me up for a really bad joke, but I'm not going there. The Ruby didn't really pan out. The things that stick out to me is we've got Onrak and Waterfall available that we've not seen yet. And we've also not seen the Oasis shop. We've not seen the vendor item as well. So when you haven't seen the Oasis and you haven't seen the vendor item, well, in my mind, that says maybe we ought to check the Oasis for the vendor item.
Will now with 3 Vorpals. This is like a dream seed for him.
I think to be a dream seed, he'd have to have a second fighter.
Yeah, Trenton, I think you're absolutely right. This seed is starting to point our runners in the direction of sailing north. There are a few things up there that they have not yet checked that I believe we'll probably see one or both of them head in that direction here presently.
But Kaiten has now started to take benefit of the eyes, so his levels should be much better now, and he should be able to make a lot more progress. Yeah, he's in the 14 range. That's very reasonable at this point. I mean, hour mark, he'd like to be a little bit closer to 20 than that, but 14 is going to be sufficient to work through a lot of dungeons.
So we're in a little bit of a holding pattern as far as progression goes. Our runners are going over territory that we have seen before. And so we're 51 minutes in of this entrance floor shuffle and town shuffle seed that Will and Kaiten have decided to inflict upon themselves. We still do not have a floater, and so we cannot get into the air. And that is really going to be the difference maker. When somebody comes upon that floater, this seat is going to break wide open, and our runners will have pretty much universal access to the overworld. Of note, we have not also found where the herb is supposed to go yet. The rod we have located, but we don't know where the rod lock is. And those are really two sort of blinking question marks that we have. And those are going to be locations that we want to find going on here in the future.
This is a big moment for Will. Is he heading out the door? Is he going to get the ribbon here? He should get it. He does get it. Okay. That's big.
Trenton, there's a question in there from Cheesinator about how long typical FF1R seeds take. Do you want to try to give a little bit of an explanation on how long we think this will last in comparison to maybe some of the tournaments that we're running shortly?
Game mode is going to play a big difference in what you're doing. When I saw this flag set, I was figuring if we do around the 2-hour mark, you're doing pretty well with it. There's a lot of sailing in this one, which slows you down. The eyes, on the other hand, have given us the levels. So, it would not be unreasonable to see them finish the rest of this seed in the next half hour. It would also not be unreasonable for it to take 45 minutes. And if something really nasty is in the way, we could be here for another hour and a half.
And if you're enjoying watching this evening, our community is really excited about tournaments, and we have several of them coming up in the next couple of weeks and months. Next weekend, we are running a one-day tourney, which will look a little bit like what you're seeing now, but maybe not so insane. That's coming up next Saturday, and so look for that on our broadcast partners, both Randomania and Speed Gaming. As we do a little bit of an entrance floor shuffle, looking for orbs or shards to go ahead and recoalesce for a much shorter race than what you're going to see tonight. There's some other stuff going on too. I'll get back to that in a second though, because it looks like Willcleosis is in uncharted territory for us.
He's just found where the rod block is. And Kaiten is trying for revenge against Carrie. He's still with the Brackstrats. Now, here I would like to see Fasts, and I don't know if he has Tempers, but Tempers would be good. Doesn't look like he has them, though, so in that case, the Brack makes sense. But he's basically depending on that knight to whittle down Carrie's HP. Which we saw earlier is not actually that bad. If he were doing lit 3s, he'd probably get through this. So there's the Bat Party Room.
Thanks, Will, for showing us the Bat Party Room. That's wonderful.
Worth noting, though, when you're in that room, the bats are not going to move. So that one that was in his way was going to sit there for as long as he's partying with the bats. That is actually more bats than you would find there in the normal game. Well, Ice, that's good news, bad news. That's the defense sword.
Oh boy.
No ruse available from that. And now I don't even remember what I was saying. Oh, the bats. In order to make it the game a little more runner-friendly, one or two bats have been moved from the general floor to that party room. Have I mentioned we have a wonderful dev team? Because we have a wonderful dev team. We also have a crystal, which Matoya might be looking for.
So that would be cached in back at Crescent Lake, or the Crescent Lake location. Meanwhile, we dive deeper. So the rod lock has been removed. We're treated with an ice cave floor. I am super interested to see where this ends up. Of note, we're 55 minutes in. We have not found Temple of Fiends, which is going to be required to finish this seed. It's making me wonder if it's hiding deeper in one of these dungeons.
We've also not seen Elfland yet, which is not just 25% of the magic of the game, but it's 50% of the high charge magic of the game. Levels 1 through 4, you just get more charges of them than you do the high level ones. We've got Kraken. We have got Kraken's floor for Willcleosis. 50% chance of Kraken or 50% chance for Lich.
Well, Will is probably hoping for Lich, but of course Chad is hoping for Kraken because Kraken sightings are always entertaining. Meanwhile, Kaiten taking another swing here at Carrie. Carrie has been his bane, so to speak, if I can make a Final Fantasy randomizer pun. So we will see whether or not Kaiten's fourth try is the try for him here.
Yeah, I'll actually disagree with you slightly. I'd rather Kraken in this spot because I've got 2 casters of Brack and I know I'm going to clear it.
So here we go,
level
Willcleosis
20.
against Kraken.
Lich shouldn't be that bad, but we're actually better equipped to kill Kraken.
Relatively vanilla Kraken here, and so the Brack strats coming out in full force here. Kraken opens up with slow, gets a couple of hits, but we're just going to do Brack strats instead. So that's the second hit and broken into pieces. Kraken was not ready for that party.
Yeah, that's exactly why Kraken was the one to see there. The Brack does wonderful, wonderful work against Kraken. If you've never tried it before, please do. You'll enjoy. It's... What's the word I'm looking for? It's just such a pleasant experience as a runner.
Willcleosis now diving to the second half of this long, long dungeon that we've found in the right-hand side of Titan's Tunnel, which split here into this Marsh Cave upper and lower. So let's see what else is hiding down here. It's Bahamut.
We've got an orb for Kraken, and we don't have Tail, but do we have Shuffle of these NPCs on? Because we haven't seen them yet.
Yes, we do.
So that's Dr. Un, I believe.
Yep, that was Dr. Un. So he's hiding down here at the bottom of Titan on the right-hand side. That makes me wonder who was back in Melmond, because I don't know if anyone ever went to take a look.
Well, unless you had the herb, it wouldn't matter, but Willcleosis does. I'm not sure if Kaiten does. I think Kaiten got the orb there. I thought he won the fight. Should have.
We'll have to take a peek here once he goes back into his menu.
Yeah, we'll see his inventory and know for sure. So this is another one of the relatively newer features, is that you can shuffle the locations of those 3 NPCs. The doctor who's attending to the elf prince, Bahamut, and Dr. Un. And you can have the 3 of them shuffle their locations around.
Okay, so we do have
got the
confirmation.
money and the
Excellent.
levels to make use of some spells, so this is going to be a very welcome thing.
And we did get confirmation that Kaiten did finally take the Fiend to Fire down carry, lit his second orb, and is now able to, like you said, Trenton, able to use this money and resources to go ahead and, oh look, Excaliburs are for sale today. And cat claws.
That's a great find. Kaiten could actually potentially get an advantage by wielding that Excalibur while Willcleosis goes with a Vorpal. Pretty much until Tiamat 2, Excalibur is going to be superior, but Tiamat 2 and Chaos, you'd rather have Vorpal.
It's a very eye-friendly seed, finding them again here.
We've seen them in multiple places. Just being on the river and the ocean is odd because that's two entirely different encounter groups. Another question in chat about the usable equipment. It's another option in the randomizer, but real quick, we got the floater from Matoya. So turning into crystal gives us the floater, and Willcleosis is going to be first in the air. Call it the 102 mark. So many things in the randomizer are options. They're not just automatic that they're going to do X, Y, Z. There's options to do X, Y, Z. And one of those options does let you randomize the spells on the spellcasting item. So, for instance, we find Brack Axe instead of the Light Axe. We found A-Ice instead of Defense. We saw Quad X shirts instead of... well, we don't know whether that was the white shirt or the black shirt. But just a few examples of what we've seen randomized in this one. Kaiten diving the ice cave, Willcleosis, some inventory management. Money's in good supply at this point. But right now, the north remains largely unexplored. We were able to find 3 of the orbs without needing the airship, by the way. Let's just appreciate that for a moment.
Yeah, that's something that you see in these randomizer seeds with extended open progression and entrance floor shuffle. The fiends can make themselves more available toward the beginning of the game, and so that's pretty interesting. And now that Will does have that floater, he's going to be able to go ahead and check the rest of these locations pretty quickly. Find that 4th fiend, find where Temple of Fiends is hiding. He's got to be feeling pretty good about where he is at this point.
And is Will going to check out who is here if he doesn't already know? We didn't catch it earlier, but just important to know, even if you don't have the item for him, because you don't want to go into Bahamut's cave when Bahamut was hanging out in Melmond and you're trying to class change.
This is going to be rapid fire entrance checking now for Willcleosis. Here we go for Gaia. Gaia is a fire floor, and so Will's going to dive this a little bit and see what he can see.
Probably lava and some rocks.
and sky. There is an incentive chest on this floor, and Willcleosis is beelining for it and finds a crown. Astos we've not seen yet today. And so that's another missing piece of the puzzle here.
Yeah, that's another potential key item. Worth noting, it hasn't come up yet, but we've got more locations for items than we have actual key items. So somebody's gonna give over a cabin.
Working his way through this nightmare evil man encounter. Oops! Somebody's got the poison touch. Oh, thank you, Will, for saving our hearing. Let's see what else is going on in this dungeon. So the crown is sitting here in the Gaia entrance, as well as more Sky Castle.
The not quite a maze floor. It seems like a maze until somebody tells you how to actually do it.
Finally, Lit 3 being put to good use here.
So let's go ahead and do a couple things here. One is thank Speed Gaming for hosting us this evening. It is greatly appreciated, all the work they do in providing a platform for these races. Also, anytime you'd like to know more about the Randomizer, best place to start is the website, FinalFantasyRandomizer.com. There are so many features. We could spend this entire broadcast just talking about the nuances of these features. You will not lack for options if you check out this range.
As we watch Willcleosis dive this new dungeon, I also want to point out that there are a couple other tournaments that are coming up by our community members. We have a Chaos Rush tournament starting at the beginning of March. I almost said March. Wow. At the beginning of March, that is like little bite-sized seeds that run anywhere between 15 to 30 minutes in length. And so the tournament is going to be set up so that our runners are going to do best of 3 contests with those sort of lightning round seeds. That is coming up in March. And then later on in the spring will be our next full grand tournament, which will have an entrance and floor shuffle theme to it. That will run through the spring and into the summer. If you're interested in either of those tournaments and learning more, make sure that you stay tuned to FinalFantasyRandomizer.com because we'll have information there. We have a whole bunch of community members here also in chat that can help you get more information about those tournaments that are coming up.
We just found something big on Willcleosis' side. He just found a temper staff. So that is going to allow casting of temper on any party member. You can stick that on the white mage, have the white mage use temper on the knight. So that is
enormous. Find. Yeah, that's huge, especially since temper we were going to be a little scant on that. So that's pretty awesome.
It really is a great find in this seed, specifically with temper fighting for space with nuke.
So the Gaia dungeon just continues to go deeper and deeper. Now we're in Earth Cave, and props to our tracker, Lord Fizzlebeef, who must be going crazy clicking buttons in the background to change our backgrounds from one floor to the next. So he's getting a workout today.
A very good question in chat. Is there a guide that tells you which chests are worth checking? The flags themselves are telling them important things. Willcleosis, when he went into that one, that just looked funny with the bats. I'm sorry, I was distracted. When Will checked that one chest in Sky floor, that one chest is in the vanilla game, the adamant that you turn in for getting the Excalibur. So it's those vanilla reward chests when they're incentivized is what they were following for that.
Kaiten619 finding the dwarves, which will allow him to go ahead and cash that TNT in, which I believe that's where we find the crystal. Is from the dwarves here, if I recall correctly, which means that Kaiten619 is on the right track. And lo and behold, we find Temple of Fiends. That's awesome. Oh, nope, Kaiten found the bottle. Sorry.
One of us remembered. Not the one taking notes. I got your notes right here. Garland is knocked down. That's easy access to Temple of Fiends Revisited, which is nice. They have deep Topher options on, so it could have been at the bottom of a dungeon. Finding it there is nice. There's the slab.
Aha.
Hey, I was half right, I would just like to say.
You're
Vendor
absolutely
item
right.
was at the Oasis.
So that gives us another location check that you're going to be able to get to, because Dr. Un is hiding in Titan right side today. Oh, there's Elfland.
Yeah, this is big because we've not seen this magic. Temper staffs are for sale. That is a wonderful, wonderful find. That might be the nicest item for sale they have found.
I'm sort of dying of laughter here because Will refuses to let go of those 3 Vorpals that he found, but he's finding other things he wants to keep, and so he's, it's a bit of a Sophie's choice here.
A good question in chat. Can you normally land your airship on that desert tile? Yes, with an asterisk. You can buy it until you purchase the bottle. I think it's after you use the bottle, you'll no longer be able to land on that. And I don't... If that behavior has been changed, Life to Fade, level 4. If that behavior has been changed to the randomizer, I think it's just been to keep that tile as something you can land on. But
so good news.
Vanilla behavior.
Yeah, good news that Life 2 is going to be within easy reach. Kind of a bummer that the fighter/knight, though, is not going to be able to pick that up.
Now, I just want to point out this. Of all things, Maya, what was the class that both of these runners picked?
Well, they both picked Black Mage after they saw the 3 forced.
What turns out to be the least valuable class?
Yeah, right. Exactly. All of the spells that you would have wanted for the Black Mage and needed to have, the Red Mage could have learned fast, and you've got temper charges. Any one of a number of ways that you want it. Looking like Double Fighter might have been a nice pick here.
Oh, and Will has 3 Vorpals too, so yes, he wishes he had 5 fighters so he could put Vorpals on all of them.
Kaiten is going to show us some of these chests. Oh, maybe not. I thought maybe he was. That was the left side. He's going to go ahead and take a peek at the right side.
So, not black magic friendly, this seed, but 2 casters of Fade is going to be able to do a lot of damage in clearing encounters out of your way. The other big thing is with all those temper staffs is that opens up those nuke charges as well. So now our AoE situation looks a lot better despite how poorly it actually lays out. Nuke at a high level. None of the element spells at low levels. In particular, Ice 3 is one you're hoping to get at a good low level.
So Oxyale has been found. The Sleeping Elf Prince has it. The Sleeping Elf Prince is at the southern entrance of that 2-entrance Cardia area. Here's Caneria Castle, which is on Cardia Small, I call it. And so the king has an opal bracelet, which is perfectly fine, and a tail. So this is a very nice find. It's because now Will can class change. Assuming he knows where Bahamut is.
I don't believe we located Bahamut. Now, was he hanging out in Melmond? Because we didn't see that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody has gone up there to check. Will might take a peek here real quick. Yep, and here's Melmond. So let's see if Bahamut is here.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It could have been valuable to check that early. It is Bahamut. Maybe he did know. It's valuable to know that so you don't waste time coming back. What? 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 He equipped Excalibur?
This is very strange.
Who is this and what did he do with Willcleosis?
Is Will feeling okay?
I don't comprehend this. Neither does chat. What did that tell us? Is that the black shirt? This Fizzle,
yep, looks like it.
Yeah, so that Quad X shirt is the black shirt. That's armor-wise going to be a little bit better than the gold bracelet. And just to clarify, The math will tell you that Excalibur is the better weapon against any enemy that has an elemental resistance. You'll expect more damage. If it's got no elemental weakness, then Vorpal's going to pay off more because of the crit rate.
Will is taking this down to lower marsh again.
So I mentioned that early. Basically, Excal is going to be the better weapon all the way through till you get to Tiamat 2. From Tiamat 2 and Chaos, you'd rather have Vorpal.
Dr. Un is down here. That's the reason Willcleosis is coming back to this dungeon that he has otherwise cleared.
Yeah, we'll see what this has. We're still looking for the Mystic Key is probably the biggest missing item.
So this unlocks Lefane. Lefane hiding in Matoya's cave today. And so this is easily reachable for Willcleosis. Will is on a roll at this point. In having that floater earlier, you can see the difference in the 2 seeds that this is making.
Yeah, it is tremendous difference. In just subtleties in the ratting can make such a difference. I feel like Will was ultimately able to get started.
Will gets a nice little hat for his trouble.
That's one way to cap off that quest chain.
Womp womp. Well done.
Thank you. So
Yeah, do
I
that,
mentioned
man.
this earlier. There were going to be a couple of these locations that are incentivized, but not actually have a key item because there aren't enough to go around. We just located the first of them. And we just located Gaia.
Which means that the fairy can be let out of the bottle here. And we'll get a key item there. We are running out of key items. I don't think we've seen a chime yet, or a key yet, or the adamant. So we're getting through these progression checks.
Yeah, we would also be missing an incentive ribbon and the Masamune. In addition to the normal key items, those have been added. Okay, and showing off one of the nice things we found out you could do in the randomizer. Because you wouldn't have warp here in vanilla. But in randomizer, you can get all 3 of those chests in one go. And I didn't see... Oh, it's Masamune from the fairy.
It's the lady in the lake with the sword, so that's pretty nice for Will.
And he'll take that over the Excalibur, and that's an automatic decision. Well, actually, I have to correct myself instantaneously, because I believe he put it on the red mage, so that he'd have 2 people that could swing good swords instead of just...
That makes pretty good sense. Willcleosis now rocking Excal, Masmune, 3 Vorpals, at least 2 Temper Staffs. He's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, the weapons are there, and I think the game plan is pretty obvious at this point. He's going to keep that Masamune there the rest of the way. Then he'll switch from Excal to Vorpal when the time comes.
Gotta find where Lich is hiding yet. And you still have to have that Mystic Key, because you're not getting anywhere in Temple of Fiends Revisited without it. And so Willcleosis is going to dive this waterfall to get to the robot, to see what the robot has on offer.
Loot also required with Temple of Fiends Revisited, but of course we did already get that. It was our first item, actually. Oh, there's another Temper Staff. So that takes the place of either the Mage or Wizard Staff, or Heal Staff. That's hey, there's Thunder.
Gross.
That come out to play yet?
So not only do waters have thunder, they have wall, which is an interesting piece of information that Kaiten knows now that Willcleosis does not. Not to mention, The water floor is going to be about 10 or 11 floors down because of Deep Topher today. And this is going to be a nasty surprise for Willcleosis if he does not see waters before he does this.
There's our incentive ribbon, so it's a very welcome find. He's getting the Sun Sword. Doesn't have a use for it. I'm a little surprised to prioritize that. I mean, it is right there, but unless you're going to move the Master Union.
The only saving grace of that incredibly nasty encounter that Kaiten just showed us is that they are runnable. And so hopefully our runners will do the smart thing and just try to run away from those. I don't know if that's any indication as to whether or not they're going to be runnable in Temple of Fiends Revisited, though. You never know, right?
The chat asks about how party balance works with the randomizer. I would say the biggest thing that happens is once you start shuffling spells, it's virtually inevitable that that comes out better for you than vanilla. I mean, you're gonna get nuke 1 out of every 8 times, so that alone tells you it's gonna be a little more generous than vanilla. Even in this seed, we've got Fade at level 4, and this is a kind of a bad magic seed for AoE. But we have Lit 3 at level 1, and we've got Fade at level 4.
Willcleosis is finding a Lit 2 helmet, seed. So that helps a little bit. I'm imagining a helmet with a big lightning rod on it.
No, why not? Okay, we've got one of the late Gaia Castle floors. And we found a 3rd ribbon.
Very well done, Willcleosis. Searching for that ribbon. That's going to be hugely helpful. Yep, exactly.
I said a 3rd ribbon, not the 3rd ribbon, because there are potentially more. And hey, we found Astos and the keys, so this is a great time to find the key because he's going to be able to check these chests while he's here, if he's interested.
So, Astos and the Mystic Key hiding in Castle Ordeal. This is not great news for Kaiten619 because this is a location that you probably don't check until late in the game because it is a little bit out of the way. We'll have to hope that Kaiten runs and finds this on the sooner side as opposed to maybe going to some other locations. An earlier check of this could be good
he
for
could actually end up at sooner rather than later because you can get there ship canoe. Chat asks if the life spells will work in battle. They do not. It'll just say ineffective. It'll let you cast it, it'll let you waste the spell charge, but it won't work. So Willcleosis has really got some momentum on his side. He's heading for another incentive location. This would be where you'd pick up TNT in vanilla. Still got to find Lich before he can go to Temple of Fiends Revisited. Which is interesting with how many locations we've checked off so far. I think we're down to Lefane and the Onrak Sea Shrine entrance, as well as Mirage Tower.
Willcleosis going back for some of these spells. Ruse is a nice pickup, especially with the skills and spells and strength of our Temple of Fiends Revisited fiends that we're going to be playing with a little bit later. They can spin up to 250% of normal. The other side of that is they could also be 40% normal, which would be much, much more preferable. But you have not known pain and annoyance until you have seen a Temple of a Fiend at max evade or max defense.
I tried to get people to run a challenge seed with the Ult 1.5 version when max evade was even higher.
Ugh.
Nobody took me up on it, strangely.
So
But,
Will is running out of entrances to check here, and we still have not yet found Lich, which makes me wonder if he might be hiding where the Oxyale is. You have to go to Onrak and then cash in the Oxyale in order to get access to that space.
Yeah, that's one of the 3 I was talking about that I'm pretty sure we haven't seen. We haven't seen the Lefane entrance. We've not seen the Mirage Tower entrance because we have to have the chime for that one. And we've not seen the Sea Shrine entrance. Choices are getting limited this late in the going.
Has Will been up to the waterfall entrance yet?
I don't recall it. Obviously, he landed at the Oasis, but I think he left as soon as he got the vendor item. Chat admiring another one of the great features of the randomizer that it will tell you the contents of the chest you can't hold instead of just saying can't hold anymore. I don't remember when we got that quality of life improvement, but I believe that was one Entroper himself developed within the first year of the randomizer. And I say Entroper himself, he's the one who started this project, and then the dev team has grown from there. Massive props to all of them for the wonderful work they've done. And if you want to see more about this, best place to start is the website, FinalFantasyRandomizer.com. Kaiten's been able to get levels. He's got that much going for him, so he's able to mow down anything that's in his way. He does have 2 of the 4 orbs. He just needs to find that path to the floater right now. Once he does, this is going to open up for him in a big way. Willcleosis finds the adamant hanging out down here at the bottom of the key-locked Marsh Cave. So, based on the way he's been playing this, I assume he's going to head back to the dwarves and do the turn in there. Kaiten's got the crystal. That leads to the floater. He's on the right track now if he gets out of here. I believe that was the chime picked up for the adamant. So that gives us now access to all entrances. Kaiten, meanwhile, has found Kraken's floor, which we saw earlier does in fact have Kraken, so this is a chance to get orb number 3, and as long as he does that, he's getting out of here with the crystal to get the floater.
So Kaiten619 making the correct calls as we run through, coming up on 90 minutes now in this seed. Willcleosis is going to give us a peek at Mirage Tower. Let's see if he can unlock it. Yes, he can. Oh, and lo and behold,
It's going to be Lich.
it's the Bridge of Destiny.
It's going to be Lich because that's our last fiend, so he can skip out on Lefane, he can skip out on the Sea Shrine entrance, and he can go straight to Temple of Fiends Revisited anytime after finishing this.
So Lich is indeed chime locked, which is another required item that Kaiten is going to need to track down here. That's 4 orbs, and so we are pretty close to ready to go.
That took the adamant, which took the key, which took the crown, and that's as far back as I can remember. I don't remember where the crown was. But the Astos gave us the key. Willcleosis took that back to Marsh Cave, where he unlocked the chime, and chime unlocked the path to Lich. Seriously, how did they do this flag set without required war mech, by the way? I feel like that's lacking.
I feel like they just must have forgotten.
Fair enough.
So Temple of Fiends Revisited is in Gaia's location, And there's going to be a little bit of a dungeon that they need to dive in order to get back to the beginning of the Temple of Fiends so that they can start to dive Topher proper. Trenton, if you're Willcleosis, you're at levels 23 or so. How are you feeling about your levels? And do you feel like you're ready to try to challenge this, or do you want to grind a little bit?
If I were going to level, I would have done it earlier. The biggest thing about leveling is the time save of getting through stuff faster, plus the safety factor of the final dungeon. At this point, go for these levels. I don't see any reason not to.
With those enemy stats and boss stats at 40% all the way up to 250% of normal, there is a significant possibility as Willcleosis starts his dive. There's a real possibility that one of these fiends down here is going to be a challenge, even for a lower leveled party like this at level 23 or so. So let's see how it goes for Will.
Yeah, so think back to an hour and 30 minutes ago. We looked in at level 1 magic and said how bad it was for a red mage. Oh, it's a patrolling warlock.
Oh,
okay.
Look at this. Will's thinking about it.
You know the people want it, Will. He saved before this as well, so...
And Warmek says, hasta la vista, baby, and it is a weight fight. The knight is going to go ahead and ruse himself. Red Wizard will go ahead and cast Fast. White Wizard ruses. And we've got a Temper Staff charge. So Ruse gets off for both the Knight and the White Wizard. That's an excellent start. Temper goes off, Fast goes off, so Warmek is fifth in line, only hits once for 139 damage. That is a really, really good sign for this. Out come the Temper Staffs. And so this knight is going to start doing damage here real fast. There's 8 hits for 1,040 damage. Warmek strikes back 2 hits, 190 damage. That is not going to be enough to bring that knight down. Here comes Cure 4 for the knight. This is all about order now. And the Tempers come out first. And then after that, Warmek decides to go pick on Maya instead. There's Cure 4. 6 hits, 1,000 damage, and down goes Warmek. And look at the Yahtzee, the experience come rolling in for Willcleosis.
Okay, so there's your extra level grind you asked for. You got it all in one fight.
Yeah, instant level grind. There you go.
But you can always back out of here if an enemy proves too hard and you can level up. The eyes are so plentiful, you're going to be able to get into that in no time. What I was going to say about the level 1 magic, though, is all the way back at level 1, where you had to choose those 3 spells for a red mage. Lo and behold, the right call is the hardest one, which would have been to sacrifice the black magic and get Invis too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for final bosses, that's what you'd want for right now, but that AoE magic shortage, I don't recall if either of our runners got Invis 2 with the red mage.
Yeah, I don't believe so. We'll have to look at on the Red Wizard for Willcleosis once he opens that spell list back up again. Of note, Kaiten619 also in the air at this point, so that's very good for him. Diving, I actually believe this is the same dungeon, so he will know that Topher is hiding down here once he finishes checking up these chests. Again, a bit of a routing difference here for Kaiten619. He's going to check these chests, looking for resources. Willcleosis skipped a lot of these and went straight for the incentive.
Yeah, I don't mind either play. In Willcleosis perspective, you're just looking at, okay, I've got the stuff I need, let's make progress. If you're Kaiten, for as long as it took to get that floater, I gotta imagine you're gonna feel behind. I mean, the wipes to carry, the length of time it took to get the floater. Whether or not you actually are, as a runner, the temptation in that scenario is gonna be to feel like you're behind. So, can you find something that makes everything better? Can you find that extra ribbon? Can you find a Masamune, for example?
Exactly. And that music you're hearing is letting us know that Willcleosis has finally entered the Temple of Fiends Revisited, which is 5 or 6 floors down from where you would normally find it. And we do have shuffled enemies down here, so we're going to find some interesting stuff. That's probably a really nice boon as you dive down here. We were worried about 6 waters, for example. We'll have to see whether or not they're even here.
Kaiten has now found the crown, which means he can go see Astos. He will have access to Lich, which is his last fiend. So, finding the right locations, he is not actually that far behind Willcleosis. Will's going to get a shot to complete Temple of Fiends Revisited first. He may not have 2 shots before Kaiten is there.
Interesting party here that Willcleosis has run into. We've got some Wait, Whiz-Mummies, Cockatrices, and Paralisks. And the Whiz-Mummies know Quad X. That's a lot of fun. This is going to slow him up just a little bit. You got to use one of those relatively few nuke charges that you have in order to get through this. That's the first Wait enemy we have seen down here that you can't run from.
That Quad X is actually one of the things that held up Kaiten early, is the last chest of Temple of Castle Ordeals. His knight got Quad X'd, and with the ship he didn't have access to a town, so had to redo the dungeon.
Eternal Tomato asks in chat, why no love for the black belt? Is it too OP? If you're referring to this seed in general, we had 3 forced party members, and I think both of our runners wanted to sort of hedge their bets and made sure that they had access to all of their magic resources that they wanted. It would feel super bad to miss out on Temper or Fast, for example. And so both of them went with the Black Mage / Black Wizard.
The other thing about the black belt is you need the high levels. You need 32 to really take advantage of a black belt. Now the encounters were there to do it, but the experience boost is a little low to be able to do that in an efficient fashion, so that took them away from that. That was also a discussion in chat about classes that you use or don't use. Actually, one of the things you can do in Randomizer is you can take off party selection members, or you can add the none option. So if you want to do, for example, a solo class challenge run, you can pick that one class and you can set the other 3 party members to be none. Like I said, we could spend this entire broadcast talking about the nuances of the randomizer and not cover everything. FinalFantasyRandomizer.com, folks.
Willcleosis is nearing carry 2, and this is where the randomizer could start to throw curveballs at Willcleosis. 250% enemies possible down here, and all of those stats are spun independently of each other. So let's see what carry 2 has for us. He's going to just fight his way through the beginning of this. We will use a fast charge. Here's a Vorpal Swing, 3 hits, 34 damage from the Red Wizard. Fast gets off. We've got a Masa-wielding White Wizard. That's a lot of fun to watch. 8 hits, 570 damage from that Fasted Knight. Down goes carry. Not a whole lot of HP there. And we are on the water floor. Willcleosis is on a roll.
All right, here's where things really get interesting. How hard is this Kraken? How easy is this Kraken? What are the skills going to look like? What's the HP like? What's the evade like? These questions and more remain to be answered.
We're about to get those answers as he starts to set up his defenses. Ribbons galore, so he's got to feel pretty good about that. Puts the white wizard or the black wizard up at the top. It fasts the knight in the 3rd position. Now we're going to go ahead and what's the white wizard or the red wizard's going to go ahead and, well, he's going to use the temper staff. Good idea. Do you use that one cast of ruse? He thinks about it. Yes. And we're going to invis the white wizard as well. Off goes ruse. Fast also goes off. That's the 3rd light warrior and the 4th light warrior. So Kraken goes last. 7 hits, 332 damage. The black wizard turns into goo. And we are on to round 2.
And that's exactly why he did that ruse and invis on this fight. You're talking about of these 3 that you'd like it for, the highest base strength is with Kraken, so it's also 2 to 1 more likely to roll up than down. But the HP is not bad. A 950 damage hit is enough.
Willcleosis swaps the location of the masa. This is
Maya.
We've secretly replaced Willcleosis with someone that doesn't think much of the Vorpal, which I have no idea what's going on. And here's Willcleosis now sprinting over to where Tiamat 2 awaits. There goes the Black Wizard up at the top of the screen again. And let's see how he's going to go ahead and get through this one. Fast comes out again on the Knight. And we're going to use a Temper Charge as well. Ruse is gone, my friend. You already used that. So he's going to go ahead and Ruse himself. And we have a first turn nuke coming out of Tiamat. He does not have the levels for this. That's 4 hits, 245 damage. And Willcleosis' party is reeling sideways at this point. 1 HP left for that White Wizard. That may be a huge, huge moment here, as he's going to go ahead and try to figure out how to deal with this.
I like the plan so far. He's getting some healing. The Knight can survive. Sometimes 1 is all you need.
4 hits for 564 damage. Not enough yet to bring Tiamat down. We are going to go to a third round here. Willcleosis does not want to start over throughout this entire Deep Topher. 5 hits, 377 damage. Tiamat 2 playing with his enemies, her enemies, only lit 2 there. Now we're in round 4. Out come the nukes for Maya. Quad X as well.
As long as you have life spells to recover with after, I would not reset. And Willcleosis is through this. He's going to be able to bring back the Black Mage, no problem.
That first turn nuke from Tiamat 2 is an alarming thing to see. This deep down, you're 12 or 13 levels down in a dungeon. And for any of these fiends to uncork a turn 1 nuke is a terrible thing to see. Willcleosis is through it though. He has 1 fiend awaits, the big one. Chaos is coming. He's got a little bit of running to do yet first.
This is a good time to mention these Fiends Revisited as well as Warmech. They share a pool from which they draw their spells, their skills. That makes sure there's still some teeth on these enemies. So you're talking about there being 3 nukes, 4 nuclears in the pool that are available for them to draw. We've seen exactly 1 nuke so far. There's still a chance for Chaos to have 2 nukes and 4 nuclears.
And here we go. This is Willcleosis versus Chaos to go ahead and put this seed to rest. And off we start with the Black Wizard at the top of the screen again, fasting that Knight. Red Wizard will use that Temper Staff as well. The Knight's got a Temper Staff as well, but nope. Trenton the Knight is going to go ahead and start swinging, and an Invis 2 charge comes off. So that fast, which is critical, starts first. That's Invis 2, giving some evasion. 4 hits and 222 damage. Chaos retorts with a Ice 2. That's pretty nice to see, and we're on to round 2.
I absolutely agree with swinging on round 1 in that situation. Find out what you're dealing with. And if you need to go into a chain of using as many tempers as possible, then you start doing that on round 2 without much loss.
Chaos flashes ink as the second attack, and we're not even going to see anymore because that was 630 damage. We had a low HP Chaos. GG's to Willcleosis, finishing in first place with a time of 1 hour, 44 minutes, and let's call it 15 seconds in the IRC room. So congratulations to Willcleosis for rolling his way through this seed and coming through with a victory, and doing it in style with how many Vorpals and how many swords did he have along the way?
Well, he had 1 Vorpal at the end that he was actually using. He had the 1 Vorpal equipped on the Red Mage, but he turned his back on Team Vorpal tonight.
So a number one winner is Willcleosis. Let's see if we can get him into the chat room here a little bit so that we can get his thoughts on how this seed went. Only 116 of 241 chests were opened, which is pretty nice to see. Kaiten619 giving it a pause so that he can GG as well.
Yeah, that was about a 9-minute run through Temple of Fiends Revisited for Will. So it's a very solid run. A little bit of being held up. But he made it happen. And still working on seeing if we can get Will here.
It's also nice to see Kaiten619 on the right track here, moving over to pick up that Oxy Ale. So still trucking right along.
Yeah, at this point, the only thing he needs is to get that chime, get into Mirage, get the final orb, and he's in good shape to finish this up. Titan put in a great run and just had some early setbacks, really. I think is the only thing that kept us from being an even closer seed between these two. Well, there he is, Mr. Anti-Vorpal himself. Willcleosis joins us. GG, sir.
GL, how you doing? Ibn Maya.
Will, congratulations. And chat is convinced that you were not actually running that seed because you were forsaking the Vorpal throughout the entire run and not running it and not using them. And so talk to us a little bit about your thoughts as you went through this race today.
Well, I had, 3 Vorpals? That's all you need. All you have to do is have them. And the enemies get scared. I mean, they try to nuke you, and they can only nuke you down to 1 HP. It's been Maya. That's all they can do, because you got 3 of them. It's really that when you're a believer. Level 29 for a knight is that point where you get that extra hit on a Vorpal equipped on a knight. And I wasn't near there. I think I was 25 on the carry floor, the fire floor of Temple of Fiends Revisited. I checked my menu right as I took out Lich, and I saw I was at 25. I knew I wasn't at 29. So I switched to the Masmoon. It's the 5th hit on the Masmoon at 24.
That's a fair explanation. So the you put that open canal flag on this set, and I'd have to say it did exactly what you were hoping for it to do.
Yeah, it causes kind of some havoc here and there. I'm still trying to figure out. I'm going through my notes, and I'm trying to figure out because I tried to skip the East Titans tunnel. That was a huge mistake, and so I had to go back to it. I'm wondering if I think it was a huge mistake because when I went back to it, then I finally get a floater, over an hour in, and I think I should have just gone there when I was there, and I think I made that mistake. But I was able to skip the waterfall and Onrak area, and I never found Onrak. I had the Oxyale. I figured the final fiend was behind it, and it wasn't.
Yes, at this point, I think that had to be La Fane. I believe we saw everything else.
Will, talk to me a little bit about the decision to go with the Black Mage as your 4th party character. Kaiten decided to do the same. And then, by extension, you go into Khaneria, and level 1 was stacked for both white and black magic. And then it kind of ran dry after that for a little bit. So were you happy with your selection of a Black Mage down the stretch?
I knew Kaiten would take a Black Mage, and so I didn't want him to have anything that I didn't, such as an extra caster of something. In my practice of this, and this is my jam, the floor and entrance shuffle and designs not quite like this, but similar. Warp and exit are just way, way too important. And so had exit not come, I think they were both level 6, I wanted to make sure that I had access to it. Now, a red mage probably would have done that, but what ended up actually happening was there was no access to Elfland until...
pretty late, yeah.
Yeah, over an hour in. And so that would have been great if, it would have been level 3 and 4, and it would have worked, but there was no access to that for an hour. So I wanted to cover the bases there. I was very happy with the forced party selections. I did consider taking a thief. That's what I've done in my practice. But I went ahead and really the deal maker was I knew Kaiten would take a black mage.
Okay, just located the slab at the oasis. It was getting deep in the run without the floater yet. What was the decision between going where you went versus sailing the ship up to the on-rack entrance?
There's more entrances in that general area. Head to Melmon first, and then usually I check both the Titans East and Earth Cave, but taking out Carrie so early, and then taking out another Fiend so early, I really thought I was pressing my luck. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to skip the Titans East, and I want to head over toward where there's 3 entrances, which is Volcano, Ice Cave, and Crescent Lake versus the 2 entrances of Waterfall and On-Rack and the potential where it actually ended up being the vendor item at the Oasis.
Well, you said that these entrance and floor seeds are your jam. And I can attest to that. You put in some barn burners of times when I watch you run these. Why do you think that is? What's your secret sauce, so to speak, on how to navigate these seeds where you don't know what's where?
Well, I've been watching Final Fantasy Randomizer forever, and I know I can't execute with the top tier type players like we have yourself, Maya, Lord Fizzlebeef taking care of the tracking. Thanks, Fizzle. I think he's up there, the Edgeworths and the Tristles. I know I can't compete with that execution-wise, but I think I can compete with gambles and realizing things and utilizing what it is that is brought to me. The first encounter in a ship off a hard power cycle was the eyes, and I would constantly use that just as I was kind of moving along to try to get exit and warp charges, and it ended up kind of working.
I'm gonna break in here for just a second because Kaiten619 has just found Warmech randomly wandering around in an Earth Cave floor, and is gonna go ahead and take a fire at this. So you also fought a Warmech, but it was the patrolling one. That's 4 hits to 269 damage. Kaiten's gonna go ahead and try to nuke this Warmech down. Gets a stack of Invis 2 off. It's 145 damage, but only 1 hit from Warmech, and so that Invis 2 coming to immediate use. There's another stack of Invis 2 coming now. We saw that Warmech didn't have a whole ton of HP, and there he goes. So this is going to be an experience bonanza for Kaiten619. And suddenly his level issues are starting to right the ship here.
There was a lot of potential death early. I got away with a whole bunch of things, utilizing the Quad X shirt very well, the Brack Axis obviously, and some timely runs that I was able to get away from. So it wouldn't surprise me if anyone playing this particular seed perished a few times early and maybe got frustrated.
And what about those the eye formation being on the seas and the rivers? And then you just randomize all. They were just everywhere.
Oh, I never took a river encounter, so I never saw that. I just knew it was first off the power cycle, and in the beginning of the game, I knew where the run was, and I wasn't utilizing it. And then I just missed saving, and I ran into him, knowing that it was the first encounter off the power cycle, and I got 3 of them. So I would just continue to use it. It's not something you can prep for. And again, that kind of goes back to what I was saying before with execution. Versus like a top tier player, I'm just not as good. But this levels, for me, in my opinion, levels the playing field for me, a little bit more. I can take my risks. I did it all night tonight, everything I possibly could. On my way to Temple of Fiends, I saw Warmech, and he was taunting me. He said, "You only got 3 Vorpals, you need 4," so I took him on and I dismantled him.
Which actually made us curious about not having a forced Warmech in this seed, and then I saw patrolling. Okay, that's what they did. But I was surprised no required Warmech.
It can also, let's say you hit an early Sky Cave, Sky Floating Fortress floor. Normally those are really deadly when you're at level 3. But when you have this randomized encounters, it's not necessarily that dangerous. You could run into imps, wolves, whatever. And so it makes that part of the game probably easier. Whereas in the rivers and in other places, you could run into the unrunnables. This was a pretty big bonanza. There was a 4 red dragon trap tile. They had like 100 HP or something. The eyes. There was a slime trap tile I had in my notes as well. There was a lot of
green dragon trap tile.
Oh, that's right. The Marsh Cave. I left that one though.
We didn't even
So
find
Kaiten619
out how tough those things were. Did you see Waters having thunder, by the way?
I never had a water encounter.
Okay, that would be a no then. Kaiten found that out.
Thunder and wall.
Other than that, we didn't see a lot of the really nasty stuff. We saw status poison come out pretty early. We saw a nuke from Fiends.
Yeah, that was a sort of a pivotal moment, Willcleosis. You were 12 or 13 floors deep in a deep Topher. You roll up to Tiamat 2, and Tiamat responds with a turn 1 nuke. What are you thinking at that point?
I was shaking. I was, because I thought I was in pretty good shape with, like I said, the Masmoon and the extra hit on it and the Temper Sticks. The Temper Sticks is what made me dive. If I didn't have those, I would have gone back to probably the Slime Tile to get to 29 and to use the Vorpal if I didn't have the Masmoon with that Knight at that point and the Temper Sticks. But when the nuke came, I was looking at it, I'm like, okay, I always want to be over 300 as best I can on the healer, which is obviously the White Wizard, had life 2. And I think I was at like 3 something. And then it hit for everything but 1. And, the Vorpals, they did their job, Maya.
That also was a pivotal moment here when your White Wizard survived with 1 hit point left. That nuke charge. That was RNG in your favor.
Did you have life 2 on the Red Wizard, or was that just on the White?
I did. I went back and bought it in Elfland. I had to go back to Melmond a few times. I had forgotten the dragon armor. I'm looking at it right now in my notes. But yeah, I did go back to Elfland and buy it, along with a pro ring for the Knight. The armor in this seed was terrible. I had no armor on my Red Mage, Red Wizard for over an hour. And I was going to let him go.
A free ice armor and shield before you even had to fight a battle, and you're complaining about the armor?
Well, no bracelets for sale. I don't have any in my notes. I didn't find pro rings because they were in Elfland till late. I never found a pro cape.
You didn't see gold, but you had the shirt, and there was an opal. So, yeah.
Yep. But I was going to let the Red Wizard go, and he just wouldn't go away.
Kaiten is still exploring to find the Lich, and it is behind the Chime. I believe what he needs next is Astos. I don't think he's been there yet to get the key. Oh, but he does find the cap. How about that one?
Oh, gosh! I'm sitting there and I'm like, I know the Mystic Key's got to be around here somewhere. Either the Final Fiend is at Onrak Waterfall area. I thought it was Onrak behind the Oxio. I had forgotten about Mirage Tower. And went right there. And when I got the cap, I'm like...
So Kaiten seeing there that Bahamut is hiding in Melmond today. I do not believe that he knows that Dr. Un is in the Bahamut space. I don't think he has seen that yet.
Well, he got the Lupa item, so he's already translated the slab.
Right on. Okay, so that's a good sign.
And just so I'm clear on what I'm referring to with that, if you talk to them without translating the slab, they'll say Lupa. Alright, so Kaiten is going to check out the last location we didn't see. I believe this has to be Onrak.
And then by extension, there will be a dungeon or something also here.
Yeah, off the Sea Shrine.
And he has the Oxyale, so we're going to find out what it is.
Yeah, and unfortunately it's just a red herring taking in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I never saw Onrak. I know I never saw greater than less than. No one ever saw
Kite
that.
found that somewhere else.
Yeah, we've
sure
we've
what
seen
that
it. Kaiten found it somewhere.
Yeah. You may have found it and then just skipped it. Because you were just doing the incentive locations at that point. And there's our just a talking dragon, who cares? And veteran move from Kite. Having his save all the way back at the airship, so he was just able to reset out of there because nothing mattered.
Veteran move, Kaiten, the OG.
He sees that Mirage Tower, it's taunting him. He wants to go there. He can't. He doesn't have the chime yet.
But this is a good play he's making here. Ordeals is required in order to get through this. Ooh, red Caribs with poison. No thank you.
Yeah, that's damage poison. We saw the status earlier.
I take that back, Trenton. You are right. Not only what you pointed out, but I'm looking at my notes. Silver bracelet for 5,000 gold early for sale in Provoca. And a rub gauntlet.
There's more slimes. Yeah, we saw the Reb Gauntlets add to the Quad X shirts, so he has a poor man's Quad X shirt.
Well, next weekend we have our one-day tournament flags that are coming up, where it is entrance and floor again, but the towns will remain in their original locations. But it includes shard hunt. And so when you're running a shard hunt as opposed to having to go kill the 4 fiends to unlock Topher, does that change the way that you approach seeds like this?
It does. And I think is that in 2 weeks, the 23rd? I think.
Oh, it's in 2 weeks. Sorry.
Saturday, 2 weeks.
I lost
Yeah.
track of time.
That happens. It does, because it's a treasure hunt, and you're going to be checking a lot of chests. And I did a little bit of play testing with that, and my times were quite good. Much better than I expected them to be. And I think they're really fun. And I think that if you can kind of let loose with that and have a good time, I think that you can definitely succeed. But they're definitely so much fun. And to cram it all into one day, even with floor and entrance shuffle, how that playing multiple ones of those seeds can confuse you over time. If you keep a good tracker and you know that you're just looking for shards to get somewhere and you're not necessarily digging for items, you could have a situation to where the end game, which still is the Temple of Fiends, even though it's short, is still locked behind something. Even though it's not buried like the one tonight was. This match where Temple of Fiends was buried, it's still the first floor, but it still could be locked behind a canoe, something along those lines, and you could have to do some digging potentially to get a canoe. But in my practice and the games that I played, that actually never happened. So I think that you're looking for shards, you get there, and with it being a short Temple of Fiends, maybe go for a little RNG, use some strategy, and get there first and take out the final boss to try to win.
Kaiten working on this 8-pack of slimes. He's going to get a whole bunch of experience off of this again. He, again, is on the right track. You need to be able to do Ordeal so that you can find Astos, so that you can get the Mystic Key, so that this all leads to Mirage at some point.
One of the things that was being shown in this match, I think we've only shown it once or twice before, is the Better Trap Treasure flag. And so there's specific chests in the game that Kaiten actually is on one of the floors right now, the Agama floor here, deep in the volcano, and he's about to find it. I think this is a ribbon.
Yep, it is.
Yeah, this is one of them right here. This is a Better Trap Treasure, and that's the only thing I checked on this floor, and that's the only reason I checked, because that flag was on. This happens to be one of them that it's going to give you a better item. It's going to give you, it could be a wear sword, it could be a giant sword, could be an opal gauntlet. Could be dragon armor, or in this case, a ribbon. But it's definitely not going to be a stick or money or anything like that. And so I try to utilize that to my advantage as well. And I did check that in a shard hunt type scenario, and it could be a shard as well.
Well, those are important to beating them. Kaiten's still exploring for the right path in this seed. It was kind of interesting that all the way back at the start of the game, Kaiten found eyes single eye encounters in the Marsh Cave before you did. But then you got forced in that Chimera unrunnable that gave you comparable levels. So he actually got his early levels first. He gets a gold bracelet here.
There was
Yeah, go ahead, Will.
There was a subtle thing really early in the game. It was... I had to keep going back and forth on the ship, and I was spinning my wheels because I'd found the eye encounter, wanted to take him out, and I kept losing warriors, but I knew I needed them. I knew I needed the Lightning 3, and the shots of that, and I wanted to get enough money and experience to have those warp and exit charges that I knew were nearby. So I kind of kept boating around back and forth. But I think it was the original Melmond was... Yeah, it was the Ice Cave. And I got into an encounter on the first wave through, and I was down to 1 Lightning 3 on the Red Mage and 1 Lightning 3 on the Black Mage. And I used the Lightning 3 off the Red Mage, knowing he didn't have any armor and knowing that he was placed higher in the order, in the second slot of the Light Warrior lineup. So if anyone was going to go, it was more than likely going to be him. He used the Lightning 3, I got out of it, he died shortly thereafter. But I actually saved the Lightning 3 on the Black Mage, and I needed it, and I absolutely had to have it when I was trying to get out of there, and I was able to use it and get away just barely out of that Ice Cave. It was incredibly close. But had I not saved that Lightning 3 and I used it, I would have been sunk.
So I believe in Kaiten's case, he reset out of this dungeon at some point and caused him to lose the crown. Because I'm almost I'm pretty certain he picked it up.
I'm mildly concerned that he skipped it. Is it in the incentive chest on that star-shaped floor on Sky that he just ran by, or was that a different item there?
It sounds right. That sounds right.
So he just ran right by it again.
Kaiten's definitely gotta know he created the flag set. So I would think, but I do believe that's the crown because I remember getting it, and then I found Temple of Fiends so deep, I took out Garland, rescued the princess, and then I forgot I had the crown until I ran into Northwest Castle. So that would make sense.
So he finds another war mech to go ahead and play with, and he got through this encounter safely the first time, so this may not be terribly dramatic.
The one-day shard hunt tournament, Maya, second one that we've done, right? And when's that going to start? Is that at noon Eastern time or 1 p.m.?
That's a great question. Let me look that up real quick. Trenton, do you know?
Well, I happen to have it handy in the announcements of the Final Fantasy Discord. 1 p.m. Eastern will be the first round of the one-day tournament. This is knockout format. You do not have to sign up, and there's no brackets. All you have to do to join in is be in the SRL room when we open it up and be ready to go and start when we do it at 1 o'clock. The way the advancement works is the top 8, doesn't matter how many enter, the top 8 advance to the next round, everybody else knocked out. After that, we'll follow it up with the top 4, so first 4 finishers advance, second 4 knocked out. Then we'll have our final 2. It'll be a 1v1 for the championship. And you think, there's less chances for a close finish? Nope. Last time, I think we saw a minute and a half between the 2 runners.
Yeah, we had a great time last time. The finals are going to be right here. They're right here on Speed Gaming, and we're all going to be there, fellas. Trenton GL, I've been Maya and myself. Yes, very excited for it. And that first one that we did was such a success. I certainly had so much fun. I'll probably play in it in the afternoon/morning, and I know I won't make it, so I'll be sitting pretty watching everyone else suffer along with you guys.
I'll be right alongside you, also pedaling for my little heart's content until some of the bigger names knock me out of the tournament, probably after the first round, which is good because that puts me back here in the chair here with my headphones, and we can commentate yet another awesome race and another great showcase for this randomizer. Again, if you're interested in this randomizer, definitely check out FinalFantasyRandomizer.com. There's all sorts of helpful links there. We can get you set up and ready to roll with this randomizer. Kaiten619, Finding Temple of Fiends. Checking the left side chests here, I am growing a little bit concerned that he might have lost track of where this last incentive item is hiding. So let's hope that he's thorough and that he took good notes and he's going to be able to finish this one up.
Yeah, does he have the Mystic Key? I don't believe he does.
He doesn't, because you get it from Aztus. You have to have the crown to get it.
Okay. Because on the right side here in the Temple of Fiends are two of those better trap tile treasures that a lot of players are not checking. I was going to check them before I had the third ribbon. I had a third ribbon, a Masmoon, I had 3 Vorpals, so we knew it was good with having 3 Vorpals. So I actually didn't check them. Dragon armor, that sort of stuff. So those are 2 checks that I definitely make a lot of.
Would it only be 2 chests for that, or would it be 3? Because all 3 are behind the fight.
Top and bottom. Top right, and then the single one on the bottom.
Okay.
So Kaiten went ahead and exited out after knocking down Garland. He's going to try to find Caneria Castle here, which is in the vicinity. Yep, there it is. So he's going to check these 2 incentive items, which, while helpful, are not going to be what he's looking for here.
Yeah, I hit a huge string from the Masmoon, a cap, a couple bucks, the Opal bracelet. Not what I wanted. Good stuff, except the cap. But there was a lot of dead space in the middle of this match for me where I started to get a little bit nervous. That was another part of the reason that I just went for the end game, as much as I could, because of the temper sticks, like I said. Had I not spun my wheels and gotten a little bit more further into it, like right around the 130 mark, ready to go, I probably would have stopped off and taken 5 or 6 minutes to take either the red dragons, probably the red dragons or the slimes.
It's hilarious. You say red dragons or slimes, and I think to myself, wait, this isn't Dragon Warrior. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Dragon Warrior's got a great league going on right now, too. They got a whole bunch of matches here and there. Maya, you're in that, right?
Well, by in, you mean I'm racing and finishing last in every race. But yes, it's a lot of fun.
You had that epic matchup with Kaiten not long ago.
I did. Kaiten beat me. And he ran a beautiful race. And so Kaiten's a seasoned runner of these. If you look at the credits in the Final Fantasy Randomizer after you beat the game, Kaiten is listed as one of the playtesters. He has been in this community since almost its inception, helping the devs. We haven't said much about the devs yet tonight. The devs are just do amazing work in turning this 30-year-old game into something that people can race. It's pretty outstanding and awesome.
Yeah, one of my characters in this match, the White Mage, Meridian BC. One of our developers, such a great guy, the creator, co-op, wonderful person, intelligent, such a great person. Loves the White Mage, so I went ahead and named it after one of our main developers from Meridian BC.
Meridian actually created a 4 White Mage task, or 4 White Mage or just 1, but he did a task for them, in fact. One little helpful thing you can do when there's an NPC or a bat in your way is if you stand diagonal, then the NPC can move in either direction, and you make it twice as likely you'll get an opening.
That bat that back blocked me in the Earth Cave, I had to go visit his buddies and start threatening him with the Vorpal, so I visited the bat party room. You guys want to, Trent, do you want to talk about the bat party room, how they all ended up in there? We saw them tonight.
What in the world makes you think I didn't already?
All right.
Well, you know me better than that.
That's true.
I've also thrown the line out there a couple of times that we could have spent the entire broadcast just talking about features of the randomizer, and we would not have enough time to cover all the nuances of it. There's just so many options. Yeah, it's fantastic.
yeah, we're rolling out a new alpha site. It's got a new interface. Still working on it in Nits and in Troper, working on that as well. It's still playable, certainly, and we have that out there to the public, and that's how I started. I remember when I discovered Final Fantasy Randomizer, I was listening to you, Maya, in the Team Out of 2 deathmatch.
Oh boy, that.
Yeah, it's a great story. And I went right to the website and started playing, and it wasn't very good, 4 or 5 hours later, but it was a lot of fun. It's great. At FinalFantasyRandomizer.com, and there's a link to our Discord on there as well. That's what I ended up following after a while. I played, just for fun myself, and then it was time to join you guys.
Will, and we're super happy you did, and that's how most of the people that wander into this wonderful, crazy little community we have started. They saw a stream like this or something on YouTube, and lo and behold, you too can sail around in various directions, lighting orbs and saving this planet from a horrible time loop. Kaiten, for an update here, is attempting to locate the few chests that he missed along the way. This is a bad feeling, I think, for any speedrunner. Something's going on at this point.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say save the world from a terrible fate, and then I was going to go for a Melmon joke.
People live in Melmond, and they're happy to be there.
Well, let's not go too far. Half of that statement is true.
And speaking of our dev team, guys, I spent so much time in the playtesting for months and months. I remember the first ever Florin entrance shuffle that we played. Meridian BC, Nits, Tartapan, and Troper, everyone was there. Rainbow Poogle was there as well, and we had such a good time doing it, and all these weird things that happened. It's how there's stories that if anyone ever wants to hear sometime of how Canaria became always Canaria. Before I joined the community, I would imagine you guys have stories of how it was figured out that both soft and pure potions are always located in Canaria for obvious reasons, but you don't think of that. So it comes in playtesting and having fun with it to come up with something like that.
Well, it looks like Kaiten has decided that's enough. Unfortunately, he was in the right place. I thought he even picked up... Honestly, I think that's the problem, is I believe he picked up the crown the first time he was there, and then just lost track and thought that chest was something else.
Yeah, that's the only explanation I think we had too, is that he
there we go.
must have just missed it at some point. We are joined in the chat room by Kaiten619. Kaiten, GG's to you. Gave it your best effort. Talk to us a little bit about how this seed went, and then after you're done talking, we'll let you know what happened here. Okay?
I got completely lost, to be honest, right now, because I forgot where the Rodlock was.
Okay, that's part of it. That's absolutely part of it. Let's go back to the beginning. You took a black mage. And as this seed sort of developed, were you happy with that decision as you continued on? Willcleosis took a black mage as well, so you guys were running the same party.
Yeah, because that's usually my Trump party for regular rando, to be honest.
The black magic, though, once you had those temper staffs, just really made the black mage kind of inefficient today.
Yeah, once I saw the temper stick, I was like, why didn't I not take a thief?
Yeah, those easily available temper staffs were definitely a difference maker down the stretch. Before you saw all of those temper staffs, though, you had to deal with Carrie. Carrie 1 was not very nice today.
She was hit like a truck. I was like, what is going on?
Kaiten, it's Will. GG's, man, and thank you for playing me. Neither of us really play that much. We don't really get out, and it was such an honor to have Fizzlebeef and Trenton and Maya call match, and honor to play. I've been watching Kaiten forever, been listening to Kaiten forever, and so I definitely had a lot of fun playing with Kaiten, and thank you for playing with me, Kaiten, OG.
Yeah, no problem, man. I had to call you out because it was overdue, way overdue for us.
It's kind of funny. I coined this the call out series at the beginning of this broadcast. We will see if there are more of these, but I do know that we have some other one-day tournaments and rush tournaments and large tournaments coming up. Kaiten, you planning on running with us in the one-day tournament in a couple of weeks?
That's my specialty, man. Shard hunts. You know I don't go back down from a shard hunt.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Kaiten's that's his thing. Kaiten's very good at the shard hunt.
Trenton, do you want to talk with Kaiten a little bit about where this seed might have gone awry?
All right. Well, Kaiten, I'm pretty sure you actually saw the crown. It was in the adamant chest, and you just did not go back to that one.
Oh, crap. I knew I forgot something. Yeah, because I was like not banking on adamant to see if that would lead me to not to the key at all. That was my strategy. I was like, maybe it's kind of worthless because I just found out the hard way when I found out that the dock was not even used.
So lo and behold, that of course lets you talk to Astos, who would then give over the mystic key that led to the chime, and the chime was crack Tiamat's floor with Lich. So that was the entire remaining pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, that map was brutal. I'm gonna be honest with that.
So, Kaiten, I think we'll start to wrap stuff up here, and so I want to give the floor over to you first, to give your thank yous, and then also talk to us a little bit about this flag set that you developed. This was what you challenged Will with. Was it fun to run for you? Did you enjoy your time?
I definitely enjoyed my time. This flag set is basically who is the really ultimate gambler. It's basically I put my spin of Legends of Hidden Temple Twist into it because we know where all the vanilla fiends are in their own layers. So I'm like, no. Let's risk every location on the field. So that's how it all developed with Willcleosis' help as well because we were talking about how much we want to gamble.
Well, and GG's to you for a really interesting race. We had a good time, and we had a whole bunch of new faces that were in chat. I'll go next, and then I'll throw it over to Will after this. I want to thank Kaiten and Will for inviting me to call this race. It was a lot of fun. Huge props and thanks to Lord Fizzlebeef, who is now a tracking expert after pretty much clicking everything multiple times. And the two of you will be really happy to see that he was manic in changing the backgrounds from one floor to the next, which was pretty outstanding. Thanks to Speed Gaming for hosting us. I'm going to go ahead and also put a link in to FinalFantasyRandomizer.com so that you can see a little bit more about how to get started in this as well, okay? Will, over to you.
Yes, thank you to Speed Gaming, everyone who put the show on, the Feasels, Mr. Broadstones, Oasises. Certainly you, Maya, and you, Trenton, you know how much I appreciate everything that you've always done, and most especially to Kaiten. And I said it just a little bit ago, but we don't really get out much. We're usually behind the scenes, doing other things, whether it's playtesting or getting the shows going and working, I guess you could kind of say. And, I think I can speak for Kaiten saying that we love it, and we love the community, and we love this game. So, thank you for having us, certainly. Potential tournament coming up sometime soon, We got the one day, obviously, coming as well. And an honor to be here, and thank you for having me.
With that, I'll start to wrap everything up again. Of course, we're so grateful to Speed Gaming for being a great partner to the Randomizer. And thankful to each of you who chose to spend this portion of your Sunday evening with us. Hope you had as much fun as we did. Maya, as always, it's been a privilege.
It's been an absolute pleasure, my friend, and thank you again, and thank you, Speed Gaming. Thank you to everybody in chat that hung out with us. Everybody have a great evening. For Trenton and everybody else, I'm Mickman Maya. You can just call me Maya. Thanks again. We'll see you soon.
Good night, everybody.